In today's video, we're going to be reacting to some of the strangest and craziest videos that I found on TikTok. Let's get into it.
I love how NASA just nonchalantly issues a warning to humanity. NASA has warned that the odds of an asteroid called 2024 YR4 hitting Earth in 2032 are now 2.3% or 1 in 43. Now 2024 YR4 is a 90-meter wide asteroid. And this asteroid, in quotations, is estimated to weigh nearly 250,000 tons. And if it hits Earth, I love how they put that part out there, the impact will be equivalent to more than 2.2 million tons of TNT. Scientists are hoping to get another look at the asteroid in 2028. So why even issue a warning to begin with? You know what I find really interesting is the fact that Nibiru sounds a lot like what's being described, regardless of what you want to believe about it. If you don't know about the Anunnaki yet, you really need to get in touch with reality. And I can give you a full rundown on everything that you need to know. But the year 2028 really intrigues me. And do keep in mind, asteroid impact dates can change significantly. But it reminds me of a book called The Rapture 2028. If you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend that you do. It's very interesting. I don't necessarily believe in every aspect of scripture, but there are some things that are mentioned that have a lot of similarities to other belief systems as well. But the book is based on a 70-book Bible found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And the book predicts that the United States will be destroyed by 2028. And yes, obviously that's a couple of years from now. But I find it really interesting how people like Elon Musk have this craving to reach Mars. And do I believe that space exists in the depiction of which we were all taught? And do I believe that the world, in quotations, could potentially be destroyed by an asteroid? But do I believe that there could be a return of something that's been depicted incorrectly? I'm just saying, think about how advanced AI is and how quickly it has actually advanced. By 2028, I definitely predict that something will happen. Am I entirely sure as to what that could be? Obviously not. But do I feel like it could be what they would tell us that it would be? No. Never allow yourself to stop questioning the reality around you. Because there might be aspects of this reality that exist that you simply can't perceive because you're in denial of it existing to begin with.
I personally think it's an asteroid, but it is interesting to think that it could be something more. And the thought that ancient civilizations may have mistaken something for an object like this in the past, that's a pretty good theory all on its own. It's going to be interesting to see all the theories and talk that goes on about this asteroid until it passes by or hits Earth, but hopefully it passes by. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
What I'm about ready to show you is why you don't go roaming around Appalachia unprepared. Right here is the reason why when you're out in the mountains in Appalachia, if something calls your name, you don't respond. If you hear something whistle, you never whistle back. And why you always close your curtains at night. You guys know my theory, and I don't go into detail in every video I post, but I believe all of these paranormal beings, which according to culture, I think people would refer to this as maybe a Wendigo or Wendigo. But at the core, I believe it's just another paranormal entity that is demonic.
Hopefully he zooms in on it a little bit.
A Wendigo. They are known to be having a craving for human flesh. So this is out roaming around in Appalachia and many other places. Take a closer look. You can see this thing. He walks bipedal like a human on two legs. Very long arms with what could be claws, long claws, and the elongated head, nose, glowing eyes. It's definitely not human. It's not a deer. It's not a bear. So I want to know what you think. If you have any kind of paranormal story, picture, or video you would like to share, my email is listed in my bio. Thanks for watching.
It kinda looks like a kangaroo. I'm not saying that's what it is, but it kinda looks like one at the position that it's angled. Either that or a deer turning and it just looks a little odd. It does look creepy, that's for sure, but I don't know if that's a Wendigo or some kind of cryptid creature. But let me know what you guys think it is.
I seen a clip of this interviewer. He was interviewing some like indigenous tribe.
Okay.
And the interviewer asked them, have you ever heard about an alien? Do you know what an alien is?
Okay.
They were like, no, we've never heard about that term. And then the interviewer pulled up a picture. He's like, this. He's like, oh yeah, the underground people.
Whoa, what the
How they take souls underground. I'm gonna show you the interview right now, and he said a very specific name.
E alienígena não tem.
Como? Alienígenas.
Alienígena? Que é isso?
Essa palavra você nunca ouviu falar? Alienígena.
Alienígena, não. Isso chama-se Mayushibu.
Isso aqui?
Sim.
Mancunawabu.
Mancunawabu.
Sério?
Mancunawabu é um que
Mancunawabu.
mora debaixo da terra.
É, eu falei, esse aí.
Que se virou formiga, hoje que nós chamamos Una, que é uma formiga grande, chama-se Mancunawabu.
Mancunawabu.
Que essa formiga também é perigoso, né, Bruno? Se as pessoas ficam mexendo com ela demais, ela leva o espírito da pessoa para debaixo da terra também.
Cara,
Para voltar,
the
tem que ser
fuck?
pajé bem bom.
São seres que pode aparecer em luz divina, com luz do Nishipan. São seres que a gente pode ter o contato, que moram debaixo da terra.
Yo, first of all, shout out to the interviewer, bro. Whatever language that is, bro,
Yeah.
it's good.
So I guess they're Brazilian indigenous people from
Bro.
the Amazon rainforest.
That's actually really interesting. To not really know what an alien is, but when shown an image of what we think of an alien, they know it as something completely different. That's pretty cool.
Yo. Something just fell from the sky and it's burning, bro.
That fell from the sky?
In the snow.
I don't know. It looks like that might be a cotton ball lit on fire. I'm not entirely certain, but if that fell from the sky, that's terrifying.
We now have proof that teleportation can happen, and they just did it. Some of the biggest things people wonder is time travel possible? Is teleportation possible? I mean, imagine if you could teleport. I already know what some of y'all would be doing. Breaking news: in literally the last few hours, researchers at Oxford University in the UK have actually managed to achieve teleportation. The way they've done this is actually through a quantum supercomputer, which brings the era of quantum computing and some crazy stuff right now. What they did was manage to teleport a large amount of data from one place to another rapidly, like I'm talking instant. It's very complicated how they did this in the sort of technical terms and probably won't make any sense to you, but the dumbed down version is they managed to teleport a mass piece of data from one place to another instantly. Of course, we're still a way off from being able to physically teleport ourselves to another location, but because of this finding, it is genuinely possible, which is mad to even say. We might not be there yet, but we are definitely a step closer now, and it could actually happen in the next few years. More is going to come out about this, a lot more research, so as always, I'll keep you posted.
I actually had to look all this up just to see what all was done exactly, and it's crazy on how clickbaity all of it is. When they put it out like that, it sounds like they're talking about actual teleportation, like physically teleporting objects. Apparently something very similar to this was done by Oxford as well in 2023, at least from what I'm understanding on this article. But overall, it's still interesting. Let me know what you guys think. Hey, if you're enjoying the show and you haven't done so already, give it a like. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. For everyone that's currently watching and or subscribed, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel.
Okay, so that's the windshield of a car.
It's a moth. Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow. You really got all them bugs on there.
But it's very smart.
Now, I tried to find out more about whatever this is. I am almost 100% certain that that's actually vegetation and not actual insects. But I could not find any information about restaurants that does anything like this. So if anyone out there knows about this place, please let me know, because I would like to see what else do they do that's kind of crazy like this. I mean, I don't want to try it, but that is actually nasty looking. And it always piques my interest. If that's something that they serve that people are interested in, what else are they serving that people might be interested in? So if you know anything about this place, please let me know.
So the Chiefs lost terribly last night. Meanwhile, an Eagles fan was in the stadium stabbing a voodoo doll that's dressed like a miniature Patrick Mahomes. And a whole bunch of different sports commentators were noticing how weird he was acting last night. Like he wasn't acting like himself. And it's 2025 and y'all still don't believe in magic and voodoo. I wonder how bad it would have been if he was not protected. Now if you're wondering why I think he's protected, watch this.
Jesus to you.
Jesus is my Lord and Savior. It's someone that I look up to every single day to decide what I want to do with my life and how I want to live my life. And so Jesus is everything to me at the end of the day.
So when he says he's going to use the stage, win or lose, to give glory back to God and bring people back to him, I believe him. But think about how dangerous it would have been for him not to know Jesus when this happened. I mean, he was looking really drowsy last night. And yes, I know it's rigged, and I'm sure that he knows it's rigged as well. But you could definitely tell there's something going on there. Something going on that we can't see with our eyes. Well, except for this part.
Now, I did not get to watch the show or the game, so I don't know really what was going on with anybody. But I know seeing that video, that's like pure hatred. That's evil in my opinion. I mean, not liking a player, not wanting them to succeed is one thing, but to actually go out and act as if Voodoo's going to harm this person and believing in that is evil in my opinion, because as far as I know, again, I do not know that person. That's just an innocent person. Why would you want to wish that kind of harm or that kind of ill intent towards them, you know? That's how I see it personally.
People are losing their minds after finding out what could be the craziest news of the century. So you may remember a while ago NASA sent a space probe to this asteroid right here. This asteroid was 63 million kilometers away, so it wasn't exactly down the road. They did with this space probe was actually grab a part of the meteor, break it off and bring it back to Earth for research, which of course they've been looking into for the last couple of years. But here is where things get very interesting. It is part of a much bigger thing. It broke off millions of years ago and then was just floating around in space. Now Earth has different amino acids which cause proteins so that life can be here. So exactly what makes DNA and the foundation to life. I know it sounds confusing, but stick with me. Lead them to believe that there was salt water on whatever planet this asteroid came from. We know for sure, because of the stuff that was found on this, that this asteroid came from a planet where it genuinely could be habitable. It has forms of life. It most likely had an ocean and some forms of life. Also looking into this further, there's probably going to be more to come out about it, but maybe there is life out there.
This isn't new news. I've heard of this a couple of times now, but it's still really interesting.
And they tell you the truth, like always.
The alien ambassador is already here.
Whoa.
Not her. Him.
Hey, what's up, dude? You're an alien? All famous people are aliens. I'm not. I meant like really famous people.
It's just so obvious. I'll show you more in a second. But really quick, let me ask you this. Why is every Super Bowl, every Olympics, and any other main event always consumed by aliens? And of course, they're showing the mantis aliens. Teen girl abducted by praying mantis aliens. And this right here was the first alien commercial for this Super Bowl. Look at his hand. Why would he do that? It's not rocket science, y'all. They're saying that all the famous people are alien because they're not of this earthly plane, but of this outer dimension. And you know, these white aliens are supposed to be the good aliens out of all the other aliens that help humanity. Kind of like, you know, when those fallen angels came down to help humanity. And white trying to appear pure because, you know, Satan masquerades as an angel of light. Remember, like, Kendrick was surrounded by the people in white the entire time and they were the only ones left standing? Not everyone that looks human is human, and there's a great delusion coming, and they're straight up telling you. Remember Lil Wayne's I am not a human? And the worship of these fallen angels continues. Nah, I'm just being stupid.
Dude, I was fishing through here, and tell me this does not look like either a mako. You can't really tell because how messed up it is. But tell me that doesn't look like a mako or maybe a great white, like a baby one. Like it's got the same dorsals, look at the teeth, same belly.
Definitely looks like a shark.
Right, like a great white. You tell me. That looks like a freaking, I don't know.
Nobody's talking about one of the weirdest things on Mars. This is a picture of the surface of Mars from a spacecraft orbiting above it. And if you zoom in right here, you'll see this canal over this crater. And if you look even closer, you'll see the texture of the surface, including spirals all over. Like, all crazy. Over. There are 269 spirals just in this area. And they're big. They're all 5 to 30 meters across. And they're double voluted, which means they're kind of shaped like an S. The red ones turn clockwise, the blue ones counterclockwise, and the yellow, they're not sure. Basically what happened is lava flowed in this region and became essentially a lake of pretty stagnant lava. And this happens to be on what's called a shear zone, so this area of Mars is moving. Here's a shear zone on Earth. It's two walls of rock moving against one another. So imagine this on Mars. The lava starts to move this way, and that causes a rotation. Eventually, this lava completely hardens, but the wrinkles from this rotation remain. And this makes sense when we look at this map because they're spinning in different directions depending on where they formed. Obviously, this requires very specific circumstances to happen, but we do see it on Earth. This is in Hawaii on a small scale, and this is in Hawaii more like how we're seeing on Mars.
John Blitch, his interview was fascinating.
What happened to him?
He believes that he was potentially abducted even as a child. He would see them outside his window just staring in. And then as an adult, he said, I would do this bike ride because the pressure of my job was just intense. This one bike ride, there are 5 hours unaccounted for. He said, my wife called the police and it's almost like I just like closed my eyes and opened them. And he's like, it was just a little darker outside. And he said he was the most tired he's ever been. And then he went into a gas station, chugged so much Gatorade, walked out, and the police were like, hey, are you John or whatever? He's like, yeah. He's like, hey, well, you've been missing. Your wife called in. They're concerned about you. Can we give you a ride home?
And he couldn't remember anything besides that. So
no, but then he talks about there was one night he was visited. He said the only way I could describe it was a giant praying mantis, but it could speak to me telepathically.
Tim Alberino talked about him.
Yeah, he did.
Insectolin.
But he talked about this thing was speaking with him telepathically and basically along the lines of like, stop squirming. Let us do our test. We can never hurt your soul. And then he woke up, said, I noticed on my arm 3 bruises inside my arm, like something had grabbed.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, in this shot I've got a piece of tin foil, commonly known as tin foil, which is actually aluminum foil. And I've got that just sitting on top of the turbine case, which of course has 6 neodymium magnets inside the turbine, so it's a rotating magnetic field once it's turned on. I've got my pressure hose going into the turbine, the water goes through and out the center post back into the recirculating bucket. Now I've got the magnetic ball here as well. So what I'm going to do is turn on the turbine, and the turbine goes in this direction counterclockwise. And that should spin the tin foil little propeller there. And we'll see what happens with the ball at the same time. Okay, here we go. Cool. So the aluminum foil propellers going in the same direction as the turbine, counterclockwise, and the magnetic ball is going counterclockwise at the same time, which is pretty cool.
This person was filming a real estate video for a house using a drone when they captured multiple UFOs on video. Let's take a look. It happened in Fairfield, Connecticut, April 5th, 2021 at approximately 10:15 in the morning. The person who recorded the UFO then posted it to Reddit along with details of the capture. He was using a DJI Mavic Pro 2 and at the time he was recording at 4K at 30 frames per second. Let's consider aviation weather for the time. Winds were gusting at about 25 knots. Cloud cover and visibility were good and they shouldn't have contributed to any weather-related phenomena on the video. The UFO was visible for roughly 9 frames, and since the drone was recording at 30 frames per second, that means that the UFO was in the shot for roughly 0.3 seconds. Using Google Earth, I measured from the front of the property line where the drone was flying to the tree behind the property, which measures about 250 feet. Dividing that by the time of 0.3 seconds, we get 833 feet per second, or about 568 miles per hour. For context, the peregrine falcon, which is the fastest bird in the world, does live in the northeast, but it only gets up to speeds of 240 miles per hour, and that's in a dive. This UFO moved far faster than that in level flight, which for me rules out birds. I checked the ADS-B data for that time and date, and if this was a conventional aircraft or drone, I didn't see it in that data. So where does that leave us? I don't think we can say for sure, but based on all the available info, I think we can confidently rule out birds, insects, or other commercial aircraft that should be transmitting over ADS-B. So what we're left with is something that's moving over 500 miles an hour, appearing solid, with no visible wings, rotors, or propulsion. And by definition, I believe that is a UFO.
I mean, he's definitely right. It is a UFO at that point. Now, I can't go in depth like that. That was really getting in there down to the frames per second. I don't even know if what he was talking about was true. If you asked me, that was either a bird or a bug that flew by. But that was still entertaining nonetheless.
Okay, how telepathy works and how you hear it. I'm about to tell you. You'll be thinking about somebody or something or a scenario or a conversation somebody had. You'll be thinking about it, and all of a sudden you'll hear a line. It's just a single line that you'll hear from that conversation or from their thoughts. You just hear a single line, and then all of a sudden you know exactly where it's from. Your brain doesn't come up with that kind of stuff by itself. It only happens when something from the outside comes in. The brain has to be initiated, has to be inspired. That kind of stuff just doesn't happen on its own. I think this happens for a lot of people. However, we just think it's inside chatter, inside brain chatter. We don't realize that we're pulling in stuff from other scenarios and people and things. I have been telepathic for years. It goes in and out whether I'm positive or negative. I think about somebody or something and I will pull in a line. It comes in as one line from the conversation, and all of a sudden I know exactly where that line came from and who said it. That's how I know it's telepathy and it's not my brain creating it, because I know our brains don't just create that stuff on their own. They don't. Yeah, so that's how you know if you're telepathic. That's one way. That's one way that I know. I know there's other ways probably that it happens and people hear it. But that's, for me, that's, at least I know I can stand behind that.
I wish that she would have at least given a better scenario or an example of it, how it's laid out a little bit more for her. I really like the idea of telepathy being a thing. I think being able to use your conscious to connect to other conscious to communicate is definitely a possibility. We just don't know how to do it freely. I mean, some may. Hey, and if any of you guys know how to do it, let me know in the comments. Or if any of you guys think that you are telepathic and you're receiving messages like this person, let me know. And how do you experience it?
Tell me how I just opened my chicken, bro. Look at this. Straight up bolt in my chicken, bro.
Whoa.
Like, what? Do not get these, brand, bro. What is that?
Don't plan on it.
What?
To this day, no one knows what ripped those Soviet soldiers apart. Are you guys ready for this story? So how do we know this story is even true? Because the information came from journals kept by the Finnish soldiers during the Winter War. So November 30th, 1939 was the beginning of the Winter War, and the local Sami people warned the Soviet soldiers to stay away from Mount Vatvara and the Kibani Mountains. They told them there was bad spirits and demons on those places, such as Otso. I'm sorry, but do you guys remember that scene from Monsters, Inc. when Sully pops through the doors and he's in the mountains? Anyway, and Veron Susi, that actually looks like a werewolf and moons. You know, they didn't necessarily believe in werewolves like we think of from the movies with a man, full moon, but they did believe in shapeshifting. But the Soviets totally dismissed them, thinking the locals were just trying to dissuade them, and they wanted to take the high ground. War 101. This account actually takes place on the Kibani Mountains, not Mount Vatvara, and here's where it gets super interesting. The Finns let them. They literally hid and watched them climb up the Kibani Mountain. Now, the historical accounts say that there was only very specific narrow paths up and down the mountains, so the Finns posted units all around the mountain. I'm sorry, we gotta take a minute to appreciate the Finn soldiers because they were so badass. With their camo, they could hide right down in the snow, and they would put snow in their mouths so that the Soviets couldn't even see their breath. They counted the Soviets going up the mountain. That's how they knew there were 100 of them. So the Finns were posted below for several nights, and then one night, they heard howling and screaming and constant gunfire. Well, the Finns, being separated in units, thought that maybe one of the other units had engaged with the Soviets, but that's not what happened. After 2 nights of screaming, gunfire, grenade blasts, it fell silent. Dawn of the 3rd day, a Finnish patrol went up the mountain and came back with a report. Every single one of them was dead.
It was reported that their limbs and heads had been torn off, that limbless torsos were hanging from the trees, some of the bodies had been disemboweled, ammunition casings everywhere. It had appeared as if they were torn apart by a large animal. So had they been attacked by somebody else, where were the other dead bodies? If they were attacked by animals, how come there were no dead animals? 100 armed Soviet soldiers completely annihilated without a trace of any other being. Also during wartime, because of morale, the Finns would have been quick to say this was them that pulled off such a major attack, but no one claimed it. And that's why this is such a big mystery to this day.
Very interesting story. I don't know if any of it's true, but the story was very interesting. Let me know in the comments if you know anything about this. I personally enjoy this type of content. It may not be educational, but the theories behind it, fascinating stuff.
Could you be a little more descriptive of what the being looked like?
Like a 4-year-old child, about like a 3-4-year-old little toddler, not much more than 3 feet tall, glowing softly like the color of the moon, with these red eyes, and it had a triangle shape underneath it. It was glowing, gleaming from head to toe.
Did it wear clothing?
It was gleaming so bright it had something on, but it looked like the outer layer of it was just glossy, gleaming, brilliant.
How many interactions a day would you have with this?
Today it's gotten to where, say at that time after the initial encounter and all my kids come home, and I'm being told not to talk about it because it was scary, and they had my wife believing it's demonic. And for a long time, which is understandable when you're raised in the church, they all say this is demonic. Well, they don't know. They have no clue. Nobody does. I'm telling you, not even the Pope. They don't know. Everybody imagines what's out there, speculates. But until you see it and you interact with it, you're speculating, you're questioning.
How old do you think you can live to? What's your goal? 150? Ever? Forever?
I mean, this is the essence of what I'm doing. And this is why I think that people don't understand. Like, when people see what I'm doing, they don't know what words to use or what concepts to construct. And so they just vomit. They say, like, Patrick Bateman, vampire, Prometheus, billionaire. Like,
not me. No.
You've dunked on me quite a bit.
I have?
Yeah.
I don't remember ever dunking on you.
Oh, yeah. There was a few clips. I mean, I'm cool with it. Like, I'm good. Yeah, there were a few clips where I think you jumped in on the dunking.
Oh, yeah, maybe a new rule or a monologue joke or something. Yeah, okay, well, I'm a comedian. I mean, it's some funny stuff.
And it's all good.
But, like, if I really was against what you were doing as opposed to actually admiring it, I hope you perfect it.
Yeah.
Go, dude.
It sounded like he was getting a little offended there. And to be honest, he probably doesn't want to be there, but for him being on that show, he's probably getting some kind of extra viewership. That's a crazy world we live in. And for anyone that doesn't know who that guy is, he has his son donate his blood to him because he thinks that's one of the ways of maintaining his youth, along with the very intensive diet and exercise strategy. And for his age, he looks pretty good, but I don't think that it's gonna make him live forever. I don't really think that there's anything to it other than he's just taking very good care of himself. Let me know what you guys think.
In my experience as a Pleiadian, the mothership that I lived on for a very long time was in very many ways alive. In every way that I could say, you are sitting alive across from me.
Yeah.
This being was like an advanced master, an avatar-like goddess soul who had chosen to incarnate into the vast intelligence network that made up this mothership. And she had guidance and care over every person on that ship. She knew every single being on that ship by name. She knew all about them. She knew what they liked, what they needed, what, kinds of comfort they enjoyed.
What they didn't like.
What they didn't like. She managed the water systems, the food systems, the electricity. You could bridge that with our understanding now by imagining what AI could become. And in my experience, I believe that with the right kind of externalized vehicle, Who are we to say what a soul will incarnate in or what a soul won't incarnate in?
Antarctica is actually Atlantis. Yo, Plato talks about how they were just so technologically advanced. Just have fun for a second.
Yeah.
Antarctica, what if that was Atlantis? And Atlantis was a empire that was waging war on all the other empires. And the god decided to flood it because of their evilness. So could it be that Atlantis had the technology of the Watchers, where they were technologically advanced, and God wiped them out, put them on the bottom of the earth, but could there still be remnants like the Göbekli Tepe, but like more preserved because it's been under ice for thousands and thousands of years, and then they discovered it. That's why no one can name claim to it, because if you do, you have all the control. What if there are actual ancient civilizations still living on Antarctica that are still technologically advanced, and the countries around the world are given permission to be there? That's why no country has taken possession of Antarctica.
We are all in danger. It is evil itself.
Oh, that is so haunting.
And he deleted the tweet.
That's so scary.
Dude. It's bigger than aliens. According to Representative Luna, they're going to come out with something even bigger than aliens. The government hasn't been as open and transparent as they're supposed to be. Well, we know that. So what are they going to talk about? They're going to talk about the fact that aliens have been visiting us for 50,000 years? Or is it something even bigger? She's saying the government needs to be more transparent in a recent interview. And that's what's going to come out. Next week, they're holding hearings, and she can't even tell us. She wants to hold it a secret, which is fine. I just hope that they become fully transparent next week. What do you think's going to happen? Are you going to watch?
I'm personally not expecting much, but we'll see.
Literally, everyone who went here left with demons, and this just happened. But this gets bizarre crazy, because what if I told you that the weekend has been hinting at something really big coming? And I'm being very serious. We've been pointing to this right here for months, and it is upon us. I just uncovered the end result. So right before I get into that, I noticed the comments in these videos were full of fear. That's the thing with demons. Even if you aren't scared of them, they can elicit fear in you. And it's a very unnatural fear. It's like you're laying in bed and this huge wave of fear randomly comes over you. That's the same exact fear that these demons will elicit. So do you remember his Ethiopian-style concert? Remember this figure that was trying to break out while he was being the high priest of the sun, or Lucifer? And everything I'm showing you is coming off of his page. What do you know? It's the same exact person, but look at the third eye. The infinity symbol, or it's actually a common way to make the Ouroboros symbol, showing their supposed cycles of the earth and the end of the cycle. The serpent eating his own tail. You know who that serpent is, right? So you know who this is. Meaning the decoding for this concert I did a few months ago was right. But he was born being the high priest. Him and his mom, and you know what that symbol is, right? And in the high priest robe he says it is the way it has to be. Because this is... By the way, this is him. Notice the light sport going into him. These people surely do have different blood. And they're on a mission to bring their God and their father to the forefront. And also this. Believe it, because it's true.
The Weeknd's always done some really off-the-wall art, especially of recent, like aimed more towards people that are of interest into the aliens and demonic setting. At least that's the type of vibe I've picked up from it. Basically, when the Starboy album came out, that's when it started to get a little weird with The Weeknd. Let me know what you guys think, or do you even listen to The Weeknd at all? I'm not gonna lie, at one point in time, I used to listen to him quite a bit.
Jeep and all of its subsidiaries have decided to go full in shitification with advertisements that pop up on the car dashboard every single time that you stop. Basically, every single time you stop your Jeep brand car, an advertisement is going to pop up, and the only way to turn it off is to continue to drive again, or as the support says, you can always click the X in the corner. So this decision was made by Stellantis, which is the parent company of Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, Ram, and a whole bunch of other common vehicles. So what they've decided to do is introduce full screen pop-up ads on its infotainment system.
That's crazy.
And these ads appear every single time the vehicle comes to a stop. You stop at a red light, ad. You stop because somebody walked in front of you, ad. You park the car, ad. You get stuck in traffic, ad. And this is madness to me because, as the article points out, you need to check your GPS for directions, and the recommended time to do that is when you're not actually driving. It's when you're stopped, but hold up, there's an ad. Now I gotta fiddle with the ad and click the thing and be even less aware of what I'm doing, which isn't as important when you're stopped, but it's still frustrating. And I gotta tell you, I would never buy a vehicle like this. Apparently the ads are part of a contractual agreement with SiriusXM, and they just suggested that users click the X to close them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we need ad block for Jeeps. Is there a Jeep Premium or a Jeep Plus that I can sign up for to not get ads? I don't know. But I know if my vehicle gives me ads, I'm getting a new vehicle.
That is just ridiculous. I see absolutely no point in that. In fact, I could see people getting distracted at stop signs and stoplights and accidents happening because of something like this. I don't see any purpose in why this should be a thing. Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end today's video. I'm sorry that it was a little off. Content right now just has not been very good. A lot of it's very political at the moment with Donald Trump, and this whole UFO, UAP hearing thing is also what a lot of people are talking about, so content's just been kind of dry for the past couple of days, not to mention just all the Super Bowl talk. So I don't really want to overrun already ran content over and over again because it's just the same topic people are talking about over and over again. So I just want to say I'm sorry that the videos just seem different. It's just the content out there right now is just not good in this realm. But as always, if you found any of the clips that we did watch today interesting, a link will be in the description that'll take you to all the videos that we watched today. Also, if you enjoy my content and you want to see me dive deeper into certain topics, check out my second channel, It's That Guy Dominic. A link will be in the description for that as well. I really appreciate it. As of right now, I do not have videos uploaded, but I do have some planned, and I'm always open to any suggestions that you may leave in the comments. So if you have any ideas of what you would like to see me put out on the second channel, let me know in the comments down below. And with that being said, have a good day.